course there's an alarm going off just as I want to start. Hey guys, it's Kat and I'm back today to do a quick review, hopefully quick, it's probably not, I say that all the time, it never is, mainly of the Huda Desert Dusk palette that I bought recently. I'm going to tell you that I liked this so much that I ended up getting this, which is the Rose Gold palette, the first Huda palette. This is being discontinued now that this has come on the market, but they've restocked it at Sephora, so I don't know what's going on. But yeah, I'm going to kind of do a quick kind of comparison and main review of this. Also, ignore that there's going to be an alarm potentially going off outside. It is what it is. So Huda Beauty originally brought out this palette, which is the Rose Golden edition, and then they brought out just recently the Desert Dusk edition. So I'll just quickly describe this one first and what they say about it. There is a sort of discrepancy in the weight that I want to address quickly as well. So this is described as being a high pigmentation, easy to blend, talc-free eyeshadow palette. These are the shades here, so I will describe them as you look at them. So 18 eyeshadows in 4 ready to layer textures, 8 buttery mattes, 6 pressed pearls, 3 duochrome toppers, and 1 daring glitter. So it's got 4 different finishes in here. Alright, so on the actual box of the palette, it claims to contain in total 25.2 grams of product. Now over 18 eyeshadows, that's 1.4 grams each, and you think that's not too bad. Like a big normal sort of pan eyeshadow is around 2.5 grams, and you kind of go, that's not too bad, especially since this is 18 shades, and in Australia it retails for $95. You go, oh yeah, that's not a bad amount of product. But we actually did a makeup breakup on some of these shades and found that most of them don't, or all of them don't contain 1.4 grams. I think we destroyed maybe, I don't know, 6 of them or 8 of them or something, and each of them contained more like 0.95 or 1 gram of product, which is what this palette claims to contain. I think this claims to contain, I think it's like 0.99 or 0.95 grams per shade. So even though this says it's 1.4 grams, which is a lot more than what this claims per shadow, I don't actually think it's true. We didn't go back and test it completely. We might still do it in the future, but I think the packaging is completely false for this. So both of these retail for 95 Australian dollars, which is a lot of money. I would have liked to have seen 1.4 gram per shadow, but I think it's more around, well, just under 1 gram, which is what this one claims to contain. So yeah, not the best. So before I tell you what I think about the shades in this, I'm going to tell you what I think of the packaging. So it comes in this box, which is like a purple kind of sand, like desert sand kind of cool thing, which is Desert Dusk, so it makes sense. You get the information on the back. On the actual palette, doesn't tell you how much product it contains. It only has it on the box. The design of the packaging, it's a cardboard packaging with Huda's sort of eyes on them. It's got sort of like a metallic kind of text and whatnot, and it is just a cardboard, but it's a sturdy cardboard. It's quite nice. It's not grubby because, I don't know, it just doesn't hold fingerprints. It looks quite nice and clean. It's got a big mirror in there, really usable. It doesn't hold up on its own, but I don't mind that. Some people hate it. I just find I hold it with my fingers like that and it works perfectly. But essentially you've got 3 rows of 6 eyeshadows to make the 18, and you got a nice balance between mattes and shimmers and whatnot. It also comes with this slip, so when you do get this originally, it has this slip to protect the shadows from the mirror. You can keep it in if you want, you can do this if you want, it's up to you. Now I think it is worthwhile keeping the slip in there because some of these shadows, especially the glitter, the pressed glitter, it's a little bit messy. So if you want to keep your mirror nice and clean, yeah, you put the slip on it. I do think this is head and shoulders above this packaging, which I don't like as much. So this came out probably a good year before the Desert Dusk came out, and this once again has similar information on it. The box looks like this, so it's just a slip rather than a box. I don't think this even has the weight on it. It's pretty poor. I can't even see how much product this weighs. It's pretty shit. Anyway, but it does say that it's made in Italy. This one is also made in Italy, I believe. Both of these products are made in Italy, but one says it on the box and one says it on the palette, so it's a bit confusing. This packaging is way worse than that other packaging. So I really don't like this. It's got a clear top, which I get it like looks cool if you're like a makeup artist and you need to go for it a lot. But it's got cardboard packaging, which once again, not too bad. It's got a clear slip, no eyes, soz. And it just feels a lot like, because of this plastic, this perspex, it just feels a lot flimsier. It looks grubbier. You can't use the mirror. I think for the price point, the packaging for here, I don't love it. It feels quite cheap. I feel like they could have, if they wanted to have this perspex, they could have at least made the casing around it a little bit sturdier, maybe made out of like plastic or something really strong, because it just feels like bleh, and it looks messy as hell. Now, in contrast to this palette, the rose golden one has 3 textures. It doesn't tell you which ones are those textures, but all it says is that you get deep mattes, you get 3D metals, and pressed pearls. Now, I gather that these 2 here are the 3D metals because they're really chunky, flaky sort of glitter. Not glitter, shimmer, I don't know, they're weird. And then you got these kind of pressed, more typical shimmer shades, and the rest are matte. So this is quite matte heavy. Okay, I know I'm jumping back and forward between 2 palettes, but I kind of feel like since I bought this and then I was so inspired that I bought this, I kind of wanted to talk about them at the same time. So essentially, what do we say? So I much prefer the packaging of this. It's a thing. This packaging is way better. I also think the shades are way more inspiring. Now, what I loved about this palette and what I'm kind of missing in this palette is I look at this palette and I feel inspired. The quality of this, I don't think is $95 worth. There are a lot of mattes and there are a lot of kind of just basic shimmers that perform fine. I'm wearing them on my eyes today and I'm wearing 4 colors. Like, it's pretty simple, the look that I created. I threw it together in like 5 minutes. So you can create some really nice, stunning looks in a really simple format, which I really like. So today I used this Desert Sand shade, and then I used Amethyst in the crease. I used Retrograde just all over the lid, and then I used this kind of shimmery purple royal mixed with a little bit of Retrograde on the lower lash line. So that's all I did. And I think this look is all right. I think it's pretty. I'll zoom in actually. So that's a look that I created today with 4 of the shades, and one of them was just like, you know, kind of setting the base. But you can see how pretty these kind of colors are together. So what I find so inspiring about this palette, and it's kind of funny because it's an expensive palette, it's 95 bucks, and I don't love the formula. Like, it's not an amazing formula. It can be so vastly improved. Essentially, the mattes for me are quite, are a little bit dry and they're not very pigmented, so you need to really layer them a little bit, so I'll build them up, which I don't really have a problem with. I think I've experienced the Anastasia Beverly Hills subculture, and I know that if you have really pigmented mattes, they're hard to actually blend and create a soft look. So I would prefer to have a buildable matte, in my opinion. I haven't had a problem using these, but they're not like, wow, the formula is so amazing. So for me, the mattes are just, they're very usable, they're easy to use. I used Amethyst today just in the crease. I did have to like build it up a bit, but it was really easy and quick to use. So I don't hate the mattes, but I don't love them. I'm not raving about them. The shimmers are really nice too. I think the duochromes are funny because they're not super pigmented, but they can make a look pop. So like the main part of my look today is purely Retrograde, and it's not a really opaque color unless you foil it, but it adds a punch to a look that if anyone has seen this palette or has used this palette, they'll look at my eye look today and be like, you're using Desert Dusk, and I'll be like, yes I am. It is a very special palette that you can create gorgeous looks from. You can create basic looks, like you do have these kind of, this is like a taupe that's like a pink with a gold shift. These are just sort of like everyday washes of shimmer that you can use with any of these kind of nude shades. There's a brown in there, there's some basic colors, but the thing that makes this palette special are the purples, the duochromes, the shimmers, these kind of dark, beautiful warm shades. They just really make this palette quite unique and different from other palettes. I've got a lot of warm shadows, like shadow palettes, and I find them way less inspiring than this one. And the thing that I find so inspiring with this are the pops of color and the gorgeous, really special duochrome sort of shadows. Now I've created some basic kind of warm looks with like Blood Moon, which is this one up here, and some of these just nude shades, and they're fine. But what makes this really pop is like that kind of middle row. It's just phenomenal. Now I'm going to swatch a few of them for you just here. I'll do swatches towards the end as well, but I just wanted to show you what I'm talking about. So I'm just grabbing Celestial, Twilight, Retrograde, and Turkish Delight down the bottom just to show you that they can be really beautiful. And I have put some glitter glue on the back of my hand because these pop the best with glitter glue. You don't have to use glitter glue. Today I'm not using glitter glue at all. In fact, I'm not even using a primer. I'm just using a cream eyeshadow, so something that doesn't even hold that well. But you can really amp it up with glitter glue, or to use these foiled, or you can kind of tone them down a little bit like I did today. I just used the Laura Mercier Caviar Stick in Rose Gold, which is just a product that I'm panning. So you can make them really extreme or tone them down if you wanted to. Yeah, so hopefully you can see that they are like, there's only 3 duochromes here, which are those 3 that I swatched, and then I just swatched another shimmer. The shimmers are really beautiful and metallic, but the duochromes, even though they're not opaque, you can see that there's not much base color to them. They can really transform a look and make a look just really, really, really special. So yeah, there's a lot of flaws with this palette, but I think these kind of beautiful shades, the really kind of vibrant metallics, the really beautiful kind of transforming duochrome shades that add a pop of something special to the look, makes this palette like worth the money and worth the hassle. I'm gonna say I don't like this pressed glitter shade. I'll show it to you later in the swatches, but essentially it is just a pressed glitter. I find it really hard making it work because it's not a really refined, beautiful glitter. I would have liked to have just seen more duochrome shades instead of that. But essentially the mattes are usable. They're not fantastic, but they're easy to use. Like pretty much most people can just pick it up and use it. But I find that the shimmers and the duochromes make this really, really gorgeous. The duochromes are more like topper shades. You have to be aware of that. They don't have much of a base color, but they can transform a look, and like I'm wearing it all over the lid, and it works really well. So I think this to me is a special palette because it is, for me, quite inspiring. I think if you're the kind of person that really likes using glittery pigments, if you're the kind of person that saw like the MAC holiday collection and saw this shade in Stylishly Merry and was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is amazing. You know, this one here, which is a pink gold duochrome. If you looked at that and go, okay, I'm happy to spend 40 bucks or whatever in Australia on this. If you look at something like the Urban Decay Moon Dust kind of shades and you go, okay, I'm not going to use them every day, but this kind of glitter inspires me and I think it's gorgeous and fun to use. Like, that is gorgeous and fun to use. If you like using that kind of stuff, if you like the Inglot like duochrome pigments and all that kind of fun stuff, you will like this palette. And the good thing is that you get at least a few beautiful pops of really inspiring colors that you can then work with the mattes to create complete looks. So that's why, you know, I really like this. I know that I can use this and get nude looks, I can get warm looks, I can get purpley looks, I can get gold looks, I can do whatever I want with this. It's not a super complete palette. There's no really deep colors except for the brown, but for me, I've had no issues with it. I find it really nice. I do think it's a little bit pricey, but I think for what I love about it, I think it's worth it. I think for me, it's really special. By the way, I want to swatch this because it is just, oh my God, it is so beautiful. This is my new favorite love. So there we go. Can you see that? That is another thing. Like, yeah, if you're happy to drop a bit of money on gorgeous, shimmery, gorgeous shades, spending $95 on a palette, it's not obscene to me. Now let's just get on to swatches of that. So if you want to see all the shades, it's a good time to do it. All right, so now let's talk about the Rose Golden palette, because after I loved the Desert Dusk one so much, I was just like, this is really special. I saw this was back in stock in Sephora. They had 20% off and I thought, oh, I'll pick it up. And to me, this is, a lot of people find this to be like their holy grail, amazing palette. They love it. It's great. Whatever, and then other people really hate it. Now I can see both sides, and personally for me, this compared to the Desert Dusk, this is just like wow wow. It kind of looks like, I don't know, a dirty, boring palette. So there's a comparison, and to me this looks like fun, shimmer, glory, beautiful colors. This just looks like some basic shades with a pop of pink and red. Now I do have to say that what I think is the best out of this palette are the mattes. The mattes are really, really good, whereas I find that the Desert Dusk ones are a little bit drier, a little bit more, I don't know, need to be a little bit more pigmented. I find these to be a little bit nicer to use. They've got some really gorgeous shades. They've got a mix of sort of basic shades that you need. You've got the cream, you've got some mauves, which are beautiful. You've got like this kind of gray color, which is cool. And then you have some warms as well. So it's a lot more versatile. It's a lot more neutral, a lot more basic. But when it comes to the shimmers, I really don't like them. Firstly, they've got these really weird chunky formula. So whereas the Desert Dusk one, the shimmers and the kind of duochromes are really, really, really like quite intense and beautiful, but they aren't oily. These are all quite oily, and I find especially these two kind of pressed glitter shades hideous to work with. They're kind of flaky. I don't know, I just find them very, very confusing. They potentially can give a good look on the eye. Personally, I haven't experienced them. They feel like they're greasy. So they give nice color payoff, but they feel like they're in some kind of, I don't know, balm or something. It's just oily and not good. And I have tried to put them like on my eye with my fingers, and it just went crepey and bumpy and disgusting, and I just did not like them. So for me, those two shades are virtually unusable. When it comes to the other shimmers, they're a lot better. This one is also has that flaky metallic finish, but I like the color a bit more. Yeah, they just look, I'm going to show you close up. Can you see how they just apply chunky and bumpy? And on the eye, that looks hideous. But that MAC one is gorgeous. So yeah, I've tried to use those three shades, and for me, they're really hideous. They look chunky on the eye. They're not worth the hassle. They're disgusting. You can't blend them out. They're just gross. And then if you look at the other just metallic shades, they're really boring to me. You've got just a basic kind of oily, greasy bronze, which is a nice color, but once again, it's hard to pick up on the brush because it's really oily. You kind of have to dab it on with your finger. I just don't like it. You've got Fling, which is like a cranberry. You've got this kind of chunky gold, which is like almost too yellow to wear on a daily basis. And then you have Angelic, which is in the other palette as well. So it's the only double up, and that is like a nice formula. It's just a boring color for me. So yeah, for me, the shimmers here are either really hard to use and look hideous, or they're just boring, or they're not shades that I'm interested in. So for me, the whole first row and this shade here is almost, I don't reach for this palette for that, which is a shame because I often think shimmers in a palette can make the palette really special. Similar to how I think the Desert Dusk palette is really special because the duochromes and the beautiful shimmers that you can then work with the mattes to create beautiful looks. For me, the only good thing, there is also Moon Dust. Look, let's be fair. This is just a nice shimmery champagne color. It's just, you can see it in every other bloody palette. So for me, the only thing that's decent about this palette are the mattes, but they're not special enough for me to be like, oh, I need to reach for my Rose Gold palette by Huda Beauty because the mattes are great. I've done a few nice looks using the mauves and the pinks and whatnot, but I always feel like it's not special enough for $95, not even $95 with 20% off. I just was quite disappointed in this, even though the matte formula is quite nice. So yeah, clearly I like this palette a lot more. Essentially for me, I'm not too concerned. Like I would love it to be better quality. I would like the duochromes to be more pigmented and not need to be foiled to get like a really opaque look or need to be applied over glitter glue. And I'd potentially like the mattes to be a little bit more buttery and a little bit more pigmented, especially for the price. But overall, I keep reaching for this palette because I love the looks it creates. I think it's a special palette. I think it's very different to other things on the market. And I think the duochromes in this pushed it over the edge. Now, the duochromes, once again, they're not the best duochromes, but they're beautiful and they make a look pop and they inspire me. So for me, this is the winner hands down. I don't regret spending 95 bucks on this. But I do regret spending the money on this only because even though the quality of the mattes are nicer and it's got some basic shades that you can easily work into other looks like, you know, your basic champagne, your basic sort of rose gold, a bronze. Beyond that, the shimmers I really don't like. And the mattes are nice, they're more pigmented, more buttery, nicer to work with, but they're kind of boring. Like I've seen them 100 times. I can reach for most palettes in my collection and create some look that resembles what this could create. So if you're going for a better quality sort of basic palette that's predominantly mattes that you can work with any other look that you want to create, you might want this, but for me it's not inspiring enough. And if this was half the price, I'd be like, oh yeah, it's not too bad. There's nice mattes there, but it is quite boring. It's quite boring. So yeah, sorry that was a bit like jumbled and jambled and whatnot, but this just inspires me and every time I use it, I'm like, that is a beautiful look. And even though I might need to build up a shade or I might need to use a glitter glue, I can definitely make it work, no problem, except for maybe that glitter shade, but it's special. Like it kind of gets not my imagination going, but at the same time, I can put on beautiful kind of shimmery looks and it just, you can tell the eyes are the feature and you don't even need to put much effort into it. The eyeshadows that I put on today literally took me 5 minutes and I will leave the house and people will be like, that eyeshadow is gorgeous. And I'm like, thanks, it's this. Whereas whenever I put this on, I'm either like, fuck, I need to somehow get rid of this shimmer shit that's on my face and it's not working, it's chunking up and it's looking gross. Or I just go, this is a basic matte look that I created, yawn. So yeah, for me, they're both overpriced, but the inspiration in this is way better. I'm actually way more inspired by this one MAC holiday release eyeshadow that's like gold pink shifting than this palette altogether. So, sorry. And before I do go, I want to mention a couple of other things that I'm wearing because a few people will probably ask. I am wearing this liner, which I also am inspired by. This is by Inglot and it's the eyeliner gel in 64. It's one of the new ones. It's a beautiful kind of, I don't know, raspberry purpley beautiful color. On my lips, Marc Jacobs. This is the something. I don't know. It doesn't tell me, but it's by Marc Jacobs. These nails, it is this. It's graceful nail polish. It is gorgeous. It's a new kind of holiday one that's coming out. So it's an indie nail polish brand and this one's in Rosy Glow. That is one coat. So yeah, that is one coat of this nail polish. It is gorgeous. All right guys, hopefully that was moderately interesting, or at least I got to tell you what I think about palettes that I've been trying to use for the past few weeks so I can review them. So job done. Well done, Kat. I'll see you guys in the next one, and if you needed any more details, description box. So I'll see you guys soon. Bye.